So hello and welcome. So today we will be starting with till now we have seen the cave temples of Mahendra. So the first session we started with Vedas and the Buddhist architecture, and then later we went into a little detail into the Nagarjunakonda and other panels. And after that, in the second lecture, we went and did a very deep analysis of sample cave sites of Mahendra, and then saw how cave temple architecture evolved. And we saw that the Adhisthana did develop into very beautiful Upana, Jagati, Kumuda, Kampa, and Pattika and all that. And then we saw a little bit of the superstructure come out in terms of the Kapota, Valabhi, and small Kudu arches that are there. So that is all that we saw. Now we will take up Mahabalipuram and Mamallapuram. I intend to do it as two separate lectures. So one today, whatever we are going to do, will be only cave temples of Mamallapuram. We will get into that and see how the superstructure also evolves in cave temple itself. After which, in the next presentation on Mamallapuram, we will go into the Vimana as such and look at a full-fledged temple from Adhisthana to the Stupi, which is a full-fledged temple, which will be the proto model for any other temple to follow in Tamil Nadu. So that will be in the next session. But before that, it is essential that we understand this next step evolution of cave temple architecture in Mahamalipuram. So Pallavas is what we have been covering last time and this time. So Pallava dynasty, its history and architecture. Phase 1, session 2 is what we are going to do. Mamallapuram, the Museum of Art and Architecture. So today what we will be covering is only rock cut caves of Mamallapuram. There are many rock cut caves in Mamallapuram: Dharmaraja Mandapa, Varaha Mandapa, Mahishasura Mardini Mandapa, Trimurti Mandapa, Koneri Mandapam, Kotikal Mandapam, Athirana Chanda Mandapam, Ramanuja Mandapam, Panchapandava Mandapam, Yali Mandapam, and all is there. I have not taken all that. All of this we will see, but only some of them we will go in so much detail because repetitive features I am not going to take again and again. Every shrine will have the same type of Upana, either Upana or directly from Jagati. So Jagati, Kumudam, and the other Adhisthana features are going to be Kumudam Kantham with the two Kampams, Shopanam, Pakshashila, Chandrashila, and all that. We have seen very well in last classes, so I will not go in deep analysis of those things. We will, however, see samples in one or two cases just to refresh, and we'll go ahead. We will not be going. Only the additional features that are appearing in each mandapam we will see, and the pillar types we will go into. So remind me if I leave out any pillar type. We will see Rudrakantam, Indrakantam, and Brahmakantam, Vishnukantam. All these four types of pillars we will see. In Chitrakhandam and the other pillars that come later, we will go when it evolves, when the architecture evolves. We are not going to cover all pillars, but whatever pillars are available, we will cover. Other than this, in Mamallapuram, we have rock cut rathas, 5 rathas, and Ganesha ratha are they. Also, you have Valayankuttai and Pidari rathams. These are some rathas, so-called rathas. Rathas is not an actual terminology. So-called rathas that we have in the sites. So that we will see in the next class. And then you have some open-air bas-reliefs like the Gangavatarana, the grand panel. Mahabalipuram, so you will have this big, panel where somebody is doing tapasya and all that, and those elephants and all that. So that art-wise, it is very important to learn that, but we will only look at one specific aspect in the Gangavatarana panel, that is a depiction of the temple of Badrinath in the panel. Other than that, we will not go into the story. We will maybe touch the story, we will not go deep into it, but that will come in the next class. And then you have constructed temples of Mamallapuram, Mukundanayana Ratham, Kshatriya Simha Pallaveswaram, Rajasimha Pallaveswaram. Kshatriya Simha Pallaveswaram and Rajasimha Pallaveswaram are the two shrines that you see as Shore Temple today. We call it Shore Temple, but the actual Pallava name is, one of them is called Kshatriya Simha Pallaveshwara Griham, the other one is called Rajasimha Pallaveshwara Griham. So this is the overall perspective of Mamallapuram, which I have split into two. And today we will concentrate only on rock cut caves. Although we have seen very detailed analysis of Mahendra's rock cut caves in the previous class, it's very important that this evolution of rock cut caves in Mamallapuram is understood in order to get a very good grip on the rathas and the temples that are going to come in future. So it might be repetitive, but I reiterate that it is very important that we study these. So going into again a very small, starting with a very small mandapam, Dharmaraja Mandapam. Dharmaraja Mandapam, as you can see, This pillar type we have seen in Mahendra's temples. Now, I am not going into the authorship of Mahabalipuram. It is a very heated debate. Longhurst, Michael Lockwood, Nagaswamy, K.R. Srinivasan, Shankara Narayanan, all these professors are debating who it belongs to. I will not touch it. So let us just fix the fact that it is 7th century, early 8th century maybe, and that's all. We will not be going into who is authoring what. Maybe Narasimha alone, I can tell you some of them, but generally this looks like Pakka Mahendra type pillars. So with that, we will see. I am not going into the authorship. There is a big debate. It involves huge discussion, and I think it is irrelevant to us also. Just the broad century perspective is enough. Looking at Dharmaraja Mandapam, you can very well say that it is divided into 3 shrines inside, and you have the Mahamandapam, Mukhamandapam and Ardhamandapam structure, because you see a pillar in the middle also. So Mukhamandapam and Ardhamandapam structure is there. Saduram Vettu, Saduram Pothikai. This Pothikai is just a Pothikai. It is not Taranga Pothikai. So, and you have an inscription inside about which I'm not seeing. One more copy of this inscription in a good state is there in Ganesha Ratha, and one developed version of Ganesha Ratha is there in Athirana Chanda Mandapam. That one inscription at Athirana Chanda Mandapam alone we will go into, because it is a beautiful inscription. Now this is the plan that we see. This is the same plan as we have seen in many temples, so I'm not going inside. And here what you should notice is 3 shrines as usual, and every shrine has a Chandrashila. So that's all others are same. I'm not going in detail. Now here inside the shrine, as we have seen in where did we see in Lalitankura Pallaveshwara Griham in Rock Fort in Trichy, this Kapota portion is there in the inside the cave temple, and this Kapota portion has 2 nasis. So it is the same thing: Upanam, Jagati, Tripatta Kumudam, Kantham, and then you have these Kudya Stambhas here that is introduced. That was there in Trichy also. We didn't look at it in detail, but Kudya Stambhas are nothing but pilasters. So you have the Kudya Stambhas that are not pillars but pilasters that are there, and these Kudya Stambhas are also having Pothikas. If you can see here, this is not the Pothika. This is the niche, proto niche for the Dwarapalaka is here. The Dwarapalaka has been scraped off, but the Kudya Stambha is having a Pothika here. And after that Pothika, you have the Valabhi. That is, this is the Kapota portion, and the inside of the Kapota, whatever is there, is called a Valabhi. And then you have these Kudu arches that are there. So the superstructure is starting to develop even in cave temples. So this up to Prastara Varga we are seeing. Now we will look at the 6 Angas of a temple in next class as per the Agama. We will take Shaiva Agamas and do a little bit discussion of that as well. But having said that, I'm just saying that the superstructure is starting to develop even in cave temples. This is Kotikal Mandapam. Again, a very small shrine, as we have seen in Mahendra style. You have the Saduram Kattu, Saduram Pothikai, and inside also you have the same architectural elements. But here you are having, it must be a Devi shrine, therefore you are having Dwara Palakis instead of Dwara Palakas. These are female figures. That's all. Now coming to Athirana Chanda Mandapam, this is a later period. Rajasimha is it is being attributed to Rajasimha. Again, there is confusion, but the inscription is of Rajasimha, which we can clearly see. Athirana, we will go a little bit into the inscription now, but looking at the Athirana Chanda Mandapam, the facade of the Mandapam is very clear. The superstructure here, because even in Dalavanur, we saw that this Kapota had developed, and in this Kapotam you had Kudu and all that, I mean Nasika and all that. But here we don't have that. But on top of the Kapotam, if you see, they've started doing something to the facade, the superstructure. They are starting to attempt a superstructure in cave temple itself as the entrance facade. There is only one shrine and Dwarapalakas are there. There is a Somaskanda here. There is a Somaskanda inside. We will look at Somaskanda a little bit now. After this, there is one lone linga here. We don't know if it is placed later. Here, during the excavation by the British, here there was a wonderful Vishnu Murti which is lost now. Before all of this is one stone, and here you have a cartoon-like Mahishasura Mardini, which is again very beautiful and artistic and all that. But we will not be looking at her now. We are not concentrating on art. Maybe when we are having an offline discussion, we can talk about all these features. This is what we have inside the Mandapam. 2 Dwarapalakas, beautiful Dwarapalakas. sorry, so hefty Dwarapalakas and similar identical symmetric Dwarapalakas. And we have the Dhara Lingam inside. So this kind of a Shodashamukha Lingam is typically Pallava style and it's called as the Dhara Lingam, 16 faced. And behind the Dhara Lingam, you have the Soma Skanda, Sa Uma Skandaha. So Shiva is there with Uma, who is Parvati, and Skanda, baby Skanda in between. I don't know if Skanda is seen here. So Sa Uma Skandaha, he is Soma Skanda. If Skanda, the baby Kumara, is missing, then he becomes a Uma Sahita Murti. Then you have in the background, you have this is Vishnu here, and this is Brahma here. And that is the setup you usually have for a Somaskanda Murti. And to keep Somaskanda Murti in the temple behind the Shivalinga is a prescription given by Rauravagama. It is there in Deeptagama also and Rauravagama of the Shaivagamas. These two agamas prescribe that a Somaskanda can be kept behind the lingam, and therefore it is here. Now again, I am not explaining the architectural features here. We've already seen enough. Going to the inscription, he has inscribed the same, somewhat the same shlokas in, this is Pallava Grantham and this is Nagari. So he has done the same thing in two scripts, but the language is Sanskritam. So he says, it starts like this. I am reading from the Grantham. Shrimato Tyanta Kamasya Dushad Darpa Apaharinaha Srinidhehe Kamaragasya Hararadhana Sanginaha. And this M like thing in the ending is the full stop. So he says, Shrimato Atyanta Kamasya, Shrimataha Atyanta Kamasya. The man, Atyanta Kama literally means a man of endless desire. So he calls himself a man of endless desire. Shrimato Atyanta Kamasya. Dvishat Darpa Apaharinaha. So Dvishaha is enemy, Darpa is their garva or their pride. Apahari is to kill it. So to stop the pride of the enemy is what has been achieved by Atyanta Kama, a man of endless desire. And he says, Srinidehe Kamaragasya Hararadhana Sanginaha. Srinidehe, he is like a vault or a treasure house of wealth. Srinidhi. Srinidehe Kamaragasya Hararadhana Sankinaha. So Kamaragasya, he has love on all things lovable. Hara Aradhana Sankinaha. He is a person who is always willing to do Shiva Puja. So he gives himself all these attributes. Srimato Atyanta Kamasya Dushat Darpa Baharinaha Srinidehe Kamaragasya Hararadhana Sanginaha. And then Abhisheka Jalapurne Chitra Rattanambujakare Aste Vishale Sumukhaha Aste Vishale Sumukhaha Shiras Sarashi Shankaraha. And then again the full stop. So he says Abhisheka Jalapurne Chitra Rattanambujakare Aste Vishale Sumukhaha Shiras Sarashi Shankaraha. Abhisheka Jalapurne. So Rajasimha, or the king who has inscribed this, he says he is sitting for Rajyabhishekam, Pattabhishekam, and during that time Jalapurne, they are pouring this auspicious water on his head, and when that jalam is pouring on his head, Chitra Rattanambujakare, he is having so many jewels that inside he is having jewels in his matted hair, and therefore that water goes and settles in his head, and that head is having so many jewels that are tied to the hair, and therefore it looks like his head itself is looking like Chitra Rattanambujakaraha, a beautiful lake which is studded with diamonds and ratnas. Aste Vishale Sumukhaha Shiras Sarashi Shankaraha. And on that head, like a jewel, that Atyanta Kama is carrying in that lake a beautiful swan like Shiva. So may Shiva be in that lake that is filled with ratnas, that is filled with the Abhisheka Jalam of that Pattabhishekam of Rajasimha. Therefore, he says, with reverence, I am carrying Shiva on my head, which is decorated by all this Abhisheka Jalam, which is very auspicious, and so many jewels which are ratnas. And then he says, Karaha, भक्ति प्रह्वेण मनसा भवं भूषण लीलया दोष्णा च यो भुवन धत्ते जीयाच्च श्रीभरश्रीराम. So he says bhakti prakhvena manasa, with a mind that is always worshipping Shiva. Bhakti prakhvena manasa bhavam bhushana leelaya dhoshna cha yo bhuvam datte. Bhavam bhushana leelaya, bhavam is the world, like as if just lifting a ball or something like that. This Atyanta Kama or Rajasimha is lifting the whole world like as if it is some toy. It's so happily he is lifting, he doesn't feel that protecting the world is some pain or something like that. It is very natural to him, so he's protecting all the worlds. Dhoshna cha yo bhuvam dhatte jiyat saha. So he who is bearing this world like as if it is some toy very easily, and he who is filled with the devotion to Shiva, may that person jiyat saha Shri Bharaha chiram. May that Shri Bhara, one who is always wealthy, may he live long, long and long. And then this is a very, very beautiful shloka. He says, Atirana Chandaha Patiravani Bhujam Atirana Chandeshwaramidam Akarotiha Giritannaya Guha Ganasahito Niyatu Krutaratihi Bhavatu Pashupatihi. He says, Atirana Chandaha Patiravani Bhujam. Atirana Chandaha, the Rajasimha who is Atirana Chanda, which means Chanda is a warrior, Rana Chanda is a warrior in war, Atirana Chanda, a warrior among warriors in war. So Atirana Chandaha Patihi Avani Bhujam Patihi. So he is like the husband of Bhumi, meaning he is the protector of Bhumi. Patiravani Bhujam, that Atirana Chanda, who is the protector of all the worlds, Atirana Chandeshwaram Idam Akarot. He has made this beautiful temple called Atirana Chandeshwaram. So the temple's name is given in the inscription itself. The temple's name is Atirana Chandeshwaram. So that Atirana Chanda, who is the protector of the world, has made this beautiful temple called Atirana Chandeshwaram. Iha Giritannaya Guha Ganasahito. Here may Shiva, along with Giritanaya, who is Parvati, Guha, who is Subramanya, Gana, with all the Shiva Ganas, Gana Sahito, Niyata Krita Ratihi Bhavatu Pashupatihi. May that Shiva, who is Pashupati, be here in this Atirana Chandeshwara, along with Parvati, along with Skanda, along with all the Ganas, forever. Let him be here in this temple built by Atirana Chandaha, called as Atirana Chandeshwaram. That's a very, very beautiful shloka that he has inscribed here. Gurvim Ishana Bhaktim Shriyam Atishayiram Durvaham Bharam Urvyaha Nissamanyasya Danam Samamatirana Chandakhyayo Vibharti Sthane Nirmapite Asmin Viditarana Khyatina Tena Bharta Bhutanam Ashtamurtihi Chiram Atirana Chandeshware Yatunishtam. Gurvim Ishana Bhaktim, he is having extreme devotion to Shiva. Shriyam Atishayinim. He has wealth that is being adored or atishayam by everybody else in the world. Durvaham bharam urvyaha. Urvi is world. He is governing the weight of all the worlds and he is responsible for the welfare of everybody. Nissamanyancha danam. He has made danam or donation to people that is not equaled by anybody in the world. Gurvim Ishana Bhaktim Shriyam Atishayirim Durvaham bharam urvyaha. Nissamanyancha danam. Samam Atirana Chandakhyaya yo vibharti. That person who is Atirana Chanda, who is bearing the fruits of so many danams, who is bearing heavily the name that is as prosperous as Atirana Chanda, one who is responsible, so much weight of responsibility of governing all the worlds, one who is having the wealth that is adored by everybody, one who is having extreme Shiva devotion. Thane Nirmapitesmin Vidita Ranajaya Khyatina. He has made this beautiful temple in this beautiful place. Tena Bharta Bhutanam. In that temple, may Bharta Bhutanam, may that Bharta or husband of everybody in the world, meaning protector of everybody in the world, which is Lord Shiva, Ashtamurtihi, he who has 8 different forms, Chiram Atirana Chandeshware Yatunishtam. May that Shiva who is Ashtamurti be in this temple forever. And then Anugrashilaha, he gives his own title. Anugrashilaha. Shila is nature. Ugrashila is a very raging or angry nature. Anugrashila, a person who is never angry, he says. And then he gives a very beautiful shloka, which is Yadina Vidhata Bharato Yadina Harir Narado Navas Kandaha Bodhum Kaiva Samartaha Sangeetam Kalakalasya. Bodhum Kaiva Samartaha. Who will be able to understand, he asks, Sangeetam Kalakalasya. Kalakala means it can mean two people. It can mean Shiva. Kala is Yama. Kalakala is Yama to Yama. One who has punished Yama is Shiva. Kalakala could also mean that Rajasimha is living for a long time, or his. We are also talking about Rajasimha after 1200 years. So he is still living. So therefore, Kalakala is also Rajasimha. And that Shiva is also playing Veena and he is a Pravina in music. He's a scholar in music. Even Rajasimha is a scholar in music. So he says, who can understand the music of Kala Kala, be it Rajasimha, be it Shiva? Who can understand? That's the riddle he is giving. So who can even understand this music if it is not for Bharata Muni, who has written Natya Shastra, or Hari, or Vishnu, Narada, or Skanda, or Kumara, Subramanya? If it is not for people like Bharata, Hari, Narada, or Skanda, Bodhum Kaiva Samartaha, who will even understand this music? Sangeetam Kalakalasya. This is the earliest record in Tamil Nadu or in South India about Bharata in inscription. So Natya Shastra's influence is there, but Bharata as a person, as a rishi, as a contribution to music and dance, the first inscription is this. And at last he says, Om Samaradhananjayaha Sangramadhiraha Om Samaradhananjayaha. Dhananjayaha is Arjuna, Samara is war. So in war, Rajasimha is like Arjuna. And then Sangrama Dhiraha. Dhira is hero, Sangrama is war. In war, he is the hero among heroes. Then he concludes this inscription. Very, very beautiful inscription. Beautiful chandas like, Atirana Chandaha, Patiravani Mujam, or Arya. So these are wonderful inscriptions. Just a mind-boggling inscription. This is only inscription that we'll be seeing. I'm just adding it for giving an understanding of how inscriptions are, because when we look at temples, we will be looking at inscriptions and things like that. So I'm starting just to introduce some inscriptions, not going into very much detail. Inside this itself, I only introduced very little detail. There is a lot to study in one inscription itself. Moving on to architecture, just give me a minute. Just Koneri Mantapam. Now can anybody enter in and tell me what special features you're observing here?
Like Nasi, like above the Nasi or the Kudu, they have started with that Vimana word on the base.
Correct,
They have starting with the Vimana of the base.
Okay.
So developing the structure.
Yeah.
And that, and columns are slight.
Very good.
Columns are, the stoutness has slender.
Reduced.
Like,
yes, it has become
reduced.
slender. Yes. So this is typically what they call, many scholars what they call as Narasimha Mahamalla type. So after Mahendra Varman, Narasimha Varman comes. Narasimha Varman the first. So the stoutness reduces, the columns become slender, they become more aesthetic, and the Taranga Potika becomes evident. I mean, the stout Potika is not there. But still the Saduram Kattu, Saduram Potikai concept still remains in the facade. That is what I want to reiterate. And now it is a Panchakoshta shrine. I mean, not Panchakoshta. There are 5 shrines inside. And one more thing that is seen is, of course, what Kirtana is saying is correct. The Nasi Kudus are there, but that was introduced by Mahendra in Dalavanur, if you remember. That is already there. But after that, the superstructure starts to develop in cave temple itself. Okay. Now I'm not going into the Sopana, Pakshashila and all that. You know it already. Now the Kapota portion becomes very, very elaborate. Okay. Now on top of the Kapota, if you see, can you tell me how many shalas are there?
There are 5 shalas.
Yes, wonderful.
Five. Yeah.
Correct. So there are 5 shalas, and you can see that 5 shalas are corresponding to 5 shrines inside. So,
okay.
So which means even today when we see a Gopuram, that is again Shalakara, isn't it? A Gopuram is what? An extension of Shala, and a very, very elaborate Shala is a Gopuram. Can you visualize that? So every shrine, just outside the shrine in the superstructure, there is a shala. So therefore, here itself, the concept of Gopuram, the seed for the concept of a Shalakara Gopuram or a gateway is laid here, I would say. Now, the Shala, okay, now let us start again from the Kapota. Now, if you see, now I want to introduce the Shala and come to the Kapota. Now, when you come to the Kapota, there are two kudus or nasis for each Shala. So, wherever the Shala boundaries are there, at that point there are two kudus, correct? And one more thing I want you to notice is the symmetry is again achieved by inside the kudu or inside the nasi, you can keep animals, you can keep faces of Gandharvas, you can keep Ganas, you can keep faces of ladies and things like that. So these are agamic prescriptions and in Shilpa Shastra also. One more thing that I want you to notice in Koneri Mandapam is every Shala's boundary is having one set of, this boundary has one nasi, this boundary has one nasi. The face inside is, look, this is looking inward, this is looking inward, this is looking inward, that is looking inward. So every shala is paired or coupled with these things. So therefore, to give it a symmetric effect and to notice if their eye level is going into the shrine, each shrine. So that is one speciality that is being introduced in Koneri Mandapam. And if I'm going to the shalas or the superstructure itself, what is happening is there are 5 shalas and 5 sannidhis we saw. Now, in between these 5 shalas, the 5 shalas have projected out. In between these 5 shalas, can you see something that is there that is not projecting but that has gone inside? What are those called? Those are called harantaras. So, how many shalas and how many harantaras are there? Yes.
Hello.
5
Yeah.
shalas and 4 harantaras.
5 shalas and
4 harantaras.
No.
6
6 harantaras are there. Yes.
Six harantaras. Okay.
But there is a difference. Connecting harantaras are 4 and ending harantaras are 2. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, in the connecting harantara, what happens is there are 2 alpanasikas. Correct? Every connecting harantara has 2 alpanasikas. And this is a typical Pallava kudu that is there. And in the ridge, if you see, you have the stupi arrangement. Can you see the stupis? So it has 2 alpanasikas and 3 stupi arrangements. So that is the feature of the harantara that is here. Now, when you come to the shala, what is happening? Shala base has a vyalavari. Those are actually tigers that are there. I don't know if I don't have a zoomed up picture, but can you visualize these small tigers that are looking at each other everywhere? So that is called a vyalavari. And the vyalavari, after the vyalavari, there is one recession that is here, no? That is called as the griva, which is the neck of the shala. And on top of that, this is the shikara, and the shikara is shalakara shikara. And that shikara has one alpanasika here. So every shala that is projecting outside has a vyalavari, has a griva, has a shalakara shikara, and an alpanasika. Okay, the vyalavari, the place where the vyalavari is there is also called as the masuraka. And the masuraka also, if you see, takes a projection, goes into a recession, comes back into the projection, goes into the recession. That is part of the harantara and the shala. So in the harantara, again, what is happening? The harantara is also having the vyalavari in the masuraka, takes up a griva, and top of that there is again 2 alpanasikas, and then you have 3 stupi arrangements. So therefore, but that is only for the connecting harantaras. To the extreme harantaras, there is only 1 alpanasika and 1 stupi. So the superstructure is understood. Now what I am introducing, nothing. Kapota, Nasikas with the faces. That has already been introduced in Dalavanur, but is just being carried forward here. And then I am introducing you to the concept of Shala, Harantara, and the aspects of a Shala and a Harantara. Masuraka or a Vyalavari, Kantha or a Griva, Shalakara Shikara, Alpanasi. Masuraka with a Vyalavari, Griva, two Alpanasis and Stupis. This Harantara and this is the Shala. So in total, the Vyalavari is well defined and the Kapota is wonderfully curved. There are 10 kudus corresponding to the 5 shrines. The human faces are all facing the Ankana and the Balabhi that is there inside. This is the Kapota and the portion inside the Kapota is called the Balabhi. Now in the Balabhi in Koneri Mantapa, there is an introduction of Hamsavari. Okay, which we will see in a bit. If you can see here, can you see these Hamsas? So this is called a Hamsavari. Now that is being introduced. This is the Kapota and inside you have the Hamsas. So that is being introduced in Koneri Mantapam. So in the Balabhi. So there are totally 30 Hamsas that are there in this. And of course, this Sadaram Kattu, Sadaram Taranga Potikai, I am not going inside. This Taranga Potikai does not have a Ratanapatta. Now what I want you to notice now is, we will leave all the others because we have seen enough of Jagati, Kumudam, etc. I am not going there. The pillars have started becoming different. In Mahendra's period, we saw the Mukhamandapa pillars and Ardhamantapa pillars will look the same. But here, if you see, can you see in the section, in the elevation, if you see, you are able to see here Sadaram Katta Sadaram is there, but then the second pillar becomes very complex and it assumes a new form. So the split between Mahamantapam and Ardhamantapam comes with the differentiation in pillar also, and this is a new concept in Koneri Mantapam, apart from the superstructure. Here we have a clear pillar, which is very different. We have not seen this type of a pillar before. So here we see Kal or the Padam that is unfinished here. Then this is called a Madhyabandha. You can see a belt here. This belt is called the Madhyabandha. And then you have these beautiful garland or pearl necklace kind of arrangement that is called the Muktasharam. And the Muktasharam or Mala, that Muktasharam is going and resting in another belt. That belt is called as the Mala Sthana. And then this place is called the Dhati or Lashanam. It is called Lashanam, sorry. Why is it called Lashanam? Is because this looks like a garlic pod, isn't it? So therefore, this is called as the Lashanam. And then you have a Kantham. So this portion here, can you see that minute portion here, that projection? This is called as the Kantham. And then you have a Kumbha, or this one is there, that is called a Amalaka, because it looks like Amla. Okay, and then in between you have the Veerakantham, and then you have the Taranga Potika, and this Taranga Potika has a Ratanapatta. One Ratanapattam is there. So what all have we seen? Padam or Kal, and then Madhyabandham, Muktasharam or Mala, Mala Sthanam, Lashanam, Kantham, Kumbham or Amalakam, Veerakantham, Taranga Potikai, and Ratanapattam. And this pillar is 16-sided pillar. 16-sided pillars are called Indrakanta. Indrakanta Stambha. So this Stambha is Indrakanta Stambha with Angas that are Pada, Madhyabandha, Muktavali, Mukta Malasthana, Lashanam, Kantham, Amalakam, Veerakantham, Tarangapotike, Ratanapattam. So are we clear on the pillar structure? If so, we can end up Koneri Mantapam here. The layout is very simple and all that. So this is what I wanted to introduce here. I'm not going into the Dwarapalakas, etc., etc. I just wanted to introduce the pillar Stambha Lakshana here. With this, we'll pause and we'll continue again.